This is it. No room for second chances, no room for errors. I mean, it's win or bust for Manchester United, the Europa League. And welcome to United Talks podcast, as always. This is your home for all the passion and perspective and proper red talk, proper Manchester United talk. It's really tough. We've had a very tough past couple of weeks, but it is, also good to remain positive and just kind of have a very positive mindset when it comes to like dealing with everything Manchester United. The stage is set at the theater of dreams and it becomes a battleground, literally. Like after a pulsating 2-2 draw in France, United returned to Old Trafford needing nothing short of a victory to keep the European dream alive. I mean, forget the away goal rule, it's no longer there. It's right straight up for kind of like survival and all of that. The win takes us to the Europa League semi-final. A loss, we're out, done, finito. Like everything is done. But here's the mindset, you know, pressure creates diamonds, basically. This is what I'm going to start with. Pressure creates diamonds. Amorim's men have the talent. Amorim's men have the talent and they've got, the grit. They've shown it in the past, but now it's about execution and belief. And in front of a home crowd, that will become our 12th man with the stakes high. I mean, this is where Manchester United must rise from the ashes, must rise from the shadows, all of that. Now let me just do a quick recap of the first leg and how it really went. And I know a lot of Man United fans were really sad about the outcome of the first leg, but we're gonna this is kind of like the starting lineup of the first leg. The team that started that game. We had Andre Onana in net after a situation where he had to talk um, back and forth. There was an exchange of words between Onana and Matic. And then we had a situation where basically um, there was Maguire, who had just come back from injury and had just had his first game in the weekend. And there's a Mazarawi and then Euro in defense. Now, the reason why I brought this is that in France, it was very chaotic, basically. And it was thrilling also. It was frustrating. And United took the lead, gave it away, fought back, conceded again. And the result was 2-2. Right, maybe, but for far from satisfying. I mean, was we saw flashes of brilliance, Garnacho's pace, Bruno's vision. We saw Joseph Zirkzee come on and do some really amazing work trying to score that goal that gave us the lead at 2-1. But also moments of sloppiness in the midfield and defense as well. I mean, the message after the match, I mean, we can score. But when do we start to defend? I mean, can we defend better? And now at Old Trafford, it's about fixing those gaps and basically finishing strong or finishing the job against Lyon. Right? Now, what happened was, I believe this is what I heard from Ruben Amorim's press conferences and all that. You know that I always put out his press conferences so that I can get a sense of what he's thinking about. And this is what I got from Ruben Amorim's press conference. He's set up in a way to beat Lyon, but at the end of the day, Lyon set up in a way that was different from what they had or the dossier they had um, of Lyon. But midway through the second half, they had to adapt. Now you look at it, it's looking like Lyon set up in a 4-4-2 diamond with Cheki and Mikotadze being their two forwards, but then eventually Czechia would drift out wide to make it a 4-2-3-1. If Paul and Parantantoliso play in the holding twos, and then we have Veretut moving to one side of the wings, um, all of that. So it was a bit confusing, especially even with Thiago Almada, where he actually, you know, was roaming around and all of that. He got the first goal, and he had a very good game. I mean, for a new player who just signed for Lyon in January, so it was very interesting to see that Lyon changed the way they set up because of Manchester United. But it is what it is, and they played to their strengths and tried on our weaknesses. I think that's what really happened. And players like Manuel Ugarte and Rasmus Højlund had poor games. Even Diogo Dalot as well had poor games as well. Had a poor game in on that day. So it seemed like we needed to also change things around to kind of sort out their style of play. And that's why we're able to get the goal that we scored against them, albeit at the last touch of the first half to get us a draw in 1-1. And then basically we came on in second half and tried to kind of get another goal. And then we scored 2-1 and when Zirkzee came on and all of that. So these were the changes that Amorim made and all that. But now the stakes are higher, and you know, it's not just about progressing, it's about pride, it's about momentum, it's about sending a message that this team building is something real under Ruben Amorim. Win this, and suddenly the season feels alive again. Lose, the questions return, pressure mounts, and hope fades. So, yeah, this game is everything. Now, the truth is, in all of this conundrum, we can see that fans are already beginning to turn on Ruben Amorim. Fans are beginning to say, oh, the manager needs to go. Oh, if he doesn't start this lineup, he needs to go. I've seen some say, oh, if he doesn't start this lineup, he needs to go. If he doesn't start this, and this, he needs to go. One says, if he starts Onana, we're definitely going to lose and he needs to go. The other says, oh, if we start Rasmus, we're definitely going to lose. He needs to go. I've seen lineups where Walter Bandera, who also made mistakes in the weekend, is in the lineup. And then, what's his name? Menu is in the lineup as a forward. I mean, I've seen these kinds of lineups and I'm like, what are you guys thinking? Basically, what are you guys thinking? Menu in the forward, he played it before. The truth is it against this Lyon side that have, Clinton Mata and Niakate, very powerful guys? I know Menu will drop into the midfield, but what gives us the outlet when we play the long balls or try to progress the ball? Is it Menu that carries the ball for Man United? I mean, what do you like what are guys thinking? What are guys thinking coming up with such lineups like that? We need an outlet. Even if Rasmus Højlund plays first half, then we can change the second half and be more dynamic and all of that. But it is what it is. Some players were arrested in the weekend at match time and they lost. So yeah, we just have to keep going with the match preview. But then I just had to give more like a historical context to kind of create the scene to make you understand that Manchester United needs this win, or it's like I said, it's win or bust for Man United. So basically, um, now, like I said, it's win or bust, and with this win, we go straight into Europa League quarter final, semi-final rather. And after, you know, uh, like I said, the stakes are high and higher than ever. I mean, I took some time to watch Ruben Amorim's press conference, and I kind of like get an idea of who starts and who is injured and all of that, which you see when we do the press conference review. But Ruben Amorim uh, has told the squad. I mean, there was news out there yesterday that Ruben Amorim really got annoyed with his players and said it's either they shape in or shape out. And it's either they play well or they are going to be sent out in or sold in the summer. Now it's all about pride and momentum, as I said, proving we belong among Europe's elites once again, even though we are not up to it. And Ruben Amorim has said it several times that we're not even prepared for all that, but it is what it is. Now, United come into this fixture with mixed domestic form, as always, when it comes to form guide. United have come into this fixture with mixed domestic form. Basically, we have 2 wins and 2 draws in 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses in our last 6 games. If you look at the domestic form, 2 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses in our last 6 games. Two of the losses coming against Newcastle and Nottingham Forest, and the 2 draws against Lyon and then Man City, and then the last one against one of the last win in 5 is against. So we haven't won in 5 games. We haven't won in 4 games. We have 1 win in 5 games. Is what it is. But we've shown flashes of brilliance, as can be seen. Obviously, it has been seen several times. We've shown flashes of brilliance, and we have shown that we can deliver, especially in Euro. The first leg showed that we had both resilient and we also had frailty, going behind twice, and United clawed back both times with goals from Zirkzee and Lenny Euro. Then Lyon, meanwhile, are surging in form, unbeaten in their last 7 games, as shown in that graphic. And they found consistency at the right time. I mean, their attacking intent, technical ability, and high pressing makes them even a real threat. They'll fancy their chances to score at Old Trafford. But one fascinating thing I like to take or draw positives from is that Lyon has not won against Manchester United. They've never won against Manchester United in 6 games. We've played them in 6 games, and we've had 3 wins, 2 draws. The last 6, basically. So even in the friendly, right, we still haven't lost to Lyon. So it's very key that we build the momentum from there and try to, you know, have that positive mindset and be the 12th man for the club as required. Then United and Lyon have a brief but memorable history in Europe, as I said earlier. The most notable clash was in 0708 when I talked about in last game's preview. I talked about we had players like John Carew and Karim Benzema. uh, Manchester United played oh 07, it played them in 07 where in the round of 16 where United progressed after an intense two-leg tie. In the modern day Lyon side is different, but the stakes are still sky high. United have historically performed well at home in European knockouts, and the theater of dreams need to roar once again. We're talking about legs here. Now, speaking of how Lyon play, we're just going to use more like the last game. So Lyon are tactically flexible with how they play. They're tactically flexible and dangerous in transitions. Under Paulo Fonseca, they favor a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, depending on the flow of the game. Sometimes they play a 4-4-2 diamond, and they play quick vertical football, focusing on exploiting spaces behind fullbacks and between the lines. Now, Lacazette drops deep to link play, pulling defenders out of shape, while Cheki is the wild card, unpredictable, tricky, and dangerous when cutting inside. And Tolisso offers the midfield control and experience. And I was particularly impressed about how Corentin Tolisso played in that game. Launching forward passes and orchestrating counterattacks and all of that. Now, they press high, went out of possession, and looked to hit fast on the counter. And they must have watched the Newcastle game and how Sandro Tonali pressed us high, and all of the Newcastle midfield of Jolinton, Tonali, and Gimaresh pressed us high, and all of that. And it will be good to United will need to remain disciplined and avoid getting caught in transition. That is key. Avoid getting caught in transition. But it is what it is. We're going to have to build from here, and we're going to have to keep going. Now, just before we go on to their predicted lineup and all of that, we're going to look at this graphic here of Ruben Amorim's stat at the top of my screen here. Ruben Amorim stat at the top of this side of the screen, where Ruben Amorim has played 32 games, is 112. That's 37% of his games. He's drawn 9. That is 28.13% of his games, and he's lost 11, which is about 34.38% of his games. It is a worrying start, and it's something that we need to kind of worry about and start thinking to ourselves like, okay, so what next from here, and how do we go from here? What next? What's the next stage, and all of that? I know that it's a rebuilding phase, and since Ruben Amorim came, we were 13th. Now, before Ruben Amorim came, we were 13th during Ten Hag, and now we're 14th league. All of that, but yeah, we're still unbeaten. That's another positive. We are still unbeaten in Europe, the whole of Europe's 3 major competitions, but it is what it is. Now, over to predicted lineups for Lyon, and we're going to use based on their last game, and that's based on the last game against Manchester United. I'm going to go with, we have Perry in goal, and then we have Nyakate and Mata. And I think one of them is on a yellow card from the last game. Okay, no, it wasn't the one, it was Tagliafico. So Nyakate and Mata, and then we have Maitland Nice, and then Tagliafico. I think Nyakate is the one that has the yellow card, and then could be suspended if he gets another yellow card in this game. Yeah, so Tagliafico and Maitland Nice playing as wing backs, and then we have Corentin Tolisso, or it could be that's Paul Akuoko playing in that defensive midfield pivot, or Corentin Tolisso. But Akuoko did not play the last game in the where they clinched 2-4 in the French league. And then we have Veretout from Aston Villa, or I think from Aston Villa or West Ham player, who's going to play as one of the 4 in the diamonds. And then we have Thiago Almada, who plays as one of the top at the tip of the diamond. And then we have Cheki and Mikataze. Mikataze is also going to play, maybe the majority of first half and maybe some part of the second half, and then he gets subbed off ahead of of Alexandre Lacazette. Alexander Lacazette. Now, the point I'm trying to make in all of this is that the key to defeating Lyon is that middle four that you have there. Middle four of, I think you have Tolisso, you have Almeida, you have Okuoku, and then you have Veretout. Now you have these four players playing, and then you can actually, if you can go around them with the strength of the wing backs, then we can be able to defeat them. Now over to how Manchester United play. Now Manchester United play a obviously under Ruben Amorim were built around around intensity, which is expected from this squad, verticality and controlled aggression. We typically line up in a 4-3-4-3 formation, as we all know, when building from back, with Onana stepping into one of the back three to become a four, and the sweeper keeper in possession, which he hasn't done in a long time. He hasn't done this in a long time. So it's very key that we, I don't know, think about these things. But we morph into a 4-2-3-1 using the midfield overloads and wing backs as width, depending on how Amorim wants. And Onana helps beat the press with precise distribution, which his distribution has been poor of late. And then midfielders, and this is the way Ruben Amorim typically likes to play. Bruno and Mount also smart movements to disrupt position blocks, and then wing backs like Patrick Dogo and Diogo Dalot, especially Dalot doing Dalot things. And Hojlund looks, to spin to link up play, seeing as looks to spin behind and also link play, seeing as Zirkzee is out. Defensively, we drop obviously. It's kind of like a 5-3-2 with one of the midfielders dropping into the defense to become, or without midfielder dropping into the defense, make it a 6, or probably just a 5 like that in the back, while pressing wide and triggering traps. When we lose the ball, we counter press instantly, and it's a system built for big nights like these. Fast transitions, creative control, and relentless pressure is what Manchester United is known for years. So we will go with the predicted lineup for no. So before that, we go with the key player for Olympic Lyon, and that would definitely, because he came up with the equalizer in the last game, and he even played really well over the weekend. Ryan Cherki. Ryan Cherki is key player for Olympic Lyon, 21 years old. He has played 38 games. He has played 2,612 minutes in total, 11 goals and 18 assists. So it's really the creative spine. He scored in the last game in their 3-1 win against AJ Auxerre. And then he has scored in his last 3 games. He scored against Lille, scored against Man United, and then scored against AJ Auxerre to solidify their Champions League qualification spot. So this is possibly going to be uh, an icing on the cake for them. So basically, that is what it is. For Manchester United, predicted lineup. Manchester United predicted lineup will definitely go. This is the lineup I believe Amorim will go with, considering all the absences and injuries. Rated lineup for Manchester United includes Andrew Nana back in net after Binder played in the weekend, and after Nana had a rest. Renam has confirmed that Andrew Nana will start in goal. Then we have Harry Maguire back in the starting lineup again after being rested over the weekend. Nizam Zarawi back in the right centre back position. Lenny Yoro also in the left centre back position after these 2 players played in the weekend, and it would be good to have more games like that for them. And then in the midfield, instead of starting Ugarte, I went with, because Ugarte has a yellow card from the first leg, I think. Yeah, he has a yellow card from first leg. So instead of starting Ugarte, I went with Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro. Bruno Fernandes, Casemiro playing in mid. That's okay. Good control. One has more pace to cover spaces, and the other has more control and experience in these types of games. Then we have Patrick Dogo and Dalo. Patrick Dogo doing Dogo things. Dalo doing Dalo things at wing back. Then for the 2 10s, I start with Mason Mount and Garnacho in this one. Mason Mount and Garnacho playing as the 2 10s, and obviously Bruno Fernandes and Casemiro playing as 2 6s, and then Rasmus Højlund starts this one. I'm not expecting that they're going to start Kobe Menu. Kobe Menu's first game back was against Lyon, and the second game back was against Newcastle. So let's just be real here. Ruben Amorim is not going to start Kobe Menu. If he starts Kobe Menu, I won't be surprised. But Ruben Amorim is not going to start Kobe Menu, so he's going to go with Mount, Garnacho, and Højlund as the front three, and then we are going to go with our key player, Obviously, he has always turned up every game and all of that. Albeit he's had he has not scored in the last couple of games, and that will be a key player for Manchester United against Lyon will be Bruno Fernandes. A key player for Manchester United against Lyon is Bruno Fernandes. We can see that obviously 30-year-old has played really well this season. He's played 48 games. Like I said in the last one, his head is going to touch 50 games before the end of the season. Obviously, over 50 games again, right? He played 4,101 minutes, right? Over 4,000 minutes. 16 goals, 16 assists, 2 goals involvement. He hasn't scored in the last 4 games, but it is what it is. One way or another, this is the game where Bruno turns up for Manchester United. So let me know your thoughts and feelings. There are other key players that we can look out for. I mean, Garnacho will be brimming with confidence, basically after scoring over the weekend. And then this is Europe seems to be Rasmus Højlund's hunting ground. So hopefully he should be able to score in this one. I back him to score and I back Bruno to score as well. Then Garnacho as well to actually score and probably create an assist. He has pace, he's fearless, he's explosive, he's just poor in decision making. Space and counter, attack is vital. And then how can United win? I always come up with 4 points as to how Man United can win this game. So basically, how United can win is pretty simple and straightforward. Target Lyon's high line. Lyon commit numbers forward, leaving space behind. Right, it will be very key that Garnacho and Hojlund exploit those spaces and run at them. Right, and then also control the midfield. We have Corentin Tolisso and Paul Akwoko they like to dictate the play. I noticed it in the last game. So it will be very key for Bruno and Casemiro as well as Mount to press them and take control. Then the next one is win pressing duels. So I believe that Amorim should consider when defending, we go one-on-one, right? One-on-one defending with each player to each player, so we don't have to, lose control. If they switch to a 4-3, all three defenders go with one. If they switch to a 4-2, then one defender is left alone, and that's Harry Maguire, maybe those Mazraoui, and then Euro can actually press the other two defenders. United's counter press must be sharp to avoid Lyon's springing counters. And then also, number 4, which is the most important and the issue we've had in the last couple of games, be ruthless in the final third. Be ruthless in the final third. Excuse me. No room for missing chances. United must take opportunities, especially early on. We must take our opportunities early on. Defensively staying compact and alert to Lyon switches of play and through balls is key. Communication between Maguire and Mazraoui and Lenny Euro. No risky play. Play the ball, move the ball, keep it transitioning really quickly will be crucial. Yeah, firstly, with Dalot and Dogu, depending on where Cheki and the other striker plays positionally, it will be very key for them to not switch off like they did again, like especially Dalot did against Newcastle. They need to close down Cheki and what's the guy's name? Mikael Taze, all of that. So basically, these are my thoughts on the game. Now, with that, what is my prediction for this game? What is my prediction? I think Manchester United are gonna scrape this one with a 2-1 win. Lyon are gonna score first, and it's gonna look like all hope is lost. And then we will score 2 goals. And I think the goals will come from Garnacho and Bruno Fernandes. If it comes from Hojlund, I will be really happy. I mean, he's been getting the stick from fans and all of that, but yeah. So it's a do or die clash. As I said, to round this all up, there's no room for doubt. This is the kind of night that Manchester United exists for. European knockouts under the lights at Old Trafford. We expect intensity, we expect drama, and most of all, we expect a response, especially with the backing of the fans. A win takes United to the semi-final and keeps the dream of European silverware alive. Albeit this has been a very poor season. No matter what happens, the energy must stay high because Manchester United fights with heart and anything is possible. As I said to one of our commenters who said that if Amorim stays till next season, he'll be sacked by November next year. So he'll be sacked by November this year. So let's see what happens. I believe that anything is possible in football, and these are the kinds of stories that have been written that obviously Manchester United is going to go through, and we have a chance to get to the Europa League final. Let me know your thoughts and feelings in the comment section. Do not forget to drop your comments. Do not forget to also tell me your predicted lineup and your predicted score line. Good from here. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit notification bell so that you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United. Like I said, please like, please share, please subscribe, and hit notification bell so you don't have to miss anything as it relates to Manchester United. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next video with the press conference review. Have a good one. Take care. Goodbye and God bless.